So how are you enjoying the show today? It's a Saturday afternoon that you don't have to work, so that's a good thing, right? Or drive or whatever. Hey, so number one is what's the number one reason that a driver is going to go to a truck stop? Anybody got an idea? Number one reason? Price of fuel, maybe? Restroom? So I've got a hat, if somebody can tell me one reason a driver is going to go to a truck stop. What's that? Shower. Is that a good shower or is that a dirty shower? Is that a clean shower, right? So, what's that? So plenty of parking, right? So what you want is, what do you have back there? Get fuel? Well, yeah, that's the number one reason. Here, you can come on up here and get the hat. There we go, right? So you need to get fuel, number one, right? If you don't get fuel, the truck doesn't keep running, right? So that's the number one reason. But at the same time, too, what's number two and number three? Any?
Access, easy in, easy out.
Easy in, easy out. Yeah, that's great. That's better. But what are people looking for? Food. Food is definitely an option, right? Do you want the same food or do you want different food? Who wants Arby's? Right? Yeah, well, we don't want to have to. So I am Sean from Cycle Renewables Truck Stops, and we have the future of trucking and the way that trucking and truck stops should operate. And number one priority is you need you not only need today's fuel, but you need tomorrow's fuels as well. That's number one. You need the best price for the fuels. If you're not getting the best price of fuels, then it's costing you money, right? But additionally, you want the best food that you can get. So we have options to provide you that in the most environmentally and best way possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video just exactly what we're talking about. So what we're looking at here is a futuristic way to build a truck stop and operate a truck stop. So what we're looking for is we're looking for good access, we're looking for clean bathrooms, clean showers, better food, and better pricing. So what we're doing is bringing out a national chain for renewable truck stops. We'll provide TTR, traditional, transitional, and renewable fuels. Additionally, we have listened to what drivers wanted. Drivers wanted extended canopies, not just the canopy covering the tractor, but canopies covering the trailer so that you can service the trailer at night, during the rain, while it's snowing, any kind of weather condition, day or night. So additionally, the truck stop is designed for your health in mind, right? So what we want is we want the truck stop itself to have healthy options, not only for food, has on-site health care. Some of the facilities will have dentist offices, right? So you can take care of a lot of the services that you would do at home while you're out on the road that you can take care of. So that way, when you get back with your family, you're visiting your family. Real lounges, real facilities to relax, you know, during your downtime. We have gymnasiums as well. So then effectively putting greens, areas for families as well. And then of course your dogs and your pets. Now, for example, is our truck stops run on renewable natural gas. So the facilities are not only carbon neutral, they're carbon negative. So by stopping at our truck stops, you're actually helping not only the environment from carbon neutral, you're helping the environment from carbon negative. Gonna go back for a second here. See if it goes back. Oh, sorry, hold on, missed it. Sorry here, didn't work right. But hey, when you're out driving on the road and you see a truck stop off in the distance and the lights are basically green and blue, right? Do you know what truck stop that actually is in the distance? You don't really know, right? But if you had blue lights going through in the sky and you had green lights in the sky, you know that was a cyclone station, right? So you would have it on your GPS as well as you would have it on, you'd be able to see it visually, right? So these are the things that we're bringing to market, and right now we have 20 locations under development in California. We have locations in development in Florida, as well as on the East Coast and across the major corridors of the United States. So if you're looking for ultimately a better way to stop, clean bathrooms, clean restrooms, better food choices, and at the same time too, the ability to use traditional diesel fueling, transitional diesel fueling at a reduced cost. Now, if it's less cost for us to run the facilities, then we can pass those savings on to the drivers as well. And a big thing right now is parking, correct? Right? Like parking is a huge item, right? You've got places that are like the Airbnb of parking. So what we're targeting is at least 75 to 250 parking spots, both for EV charging and for overnight trucking. Does that make sense? So additionally, what we also like to do is we like to do fun stuff as well. So everybody likes NASCAR and racing, so we run currently a NASCAR series truck, and this year we'll be running in the Xfinity series. We like to bring drivers or truck drivers, operators to the NASCAR events, and we're cooperating with OEMs to have NASCAR days where you can come in, you'll be able to drive hydrogen trucks, EV trucks, and then have a day at the NASCAR events. So effectively what you just need to do is come to our booth in the West Wing, give us your name, email address, and phone number, and then we can contact you depending on what city and areas. Coming up is Charlotte Motor Speedway for Memorial Day weekend, then Nashville, Tennessee, and then the Indianapolis Indy. So just going back to the audience, what are the things that audience members also want to see at the truck stops? Anything that you have a grievance or a particular issue with that we could help to cure, just like we did on the awnings or the restrooms? Nobody has any other grievances? Yeah. What's that? Lighting? So when you say lighting, where do you want the lighting? Right? So that you can see and walk around, right? Okay, so what we did is on that kind of aspect, right? So we have our Tulare truck stop that's going into construction this summer. And what we did is we put a walking track all around the long-term parking area. So there's a walking track where you have grassy area, and then in the middle is sort of like a concrete walking path, but on each side is grass, right? So you can walk your dog and you can, get some exercise as well, right? So that way you can get out some of your frustration. I don't have a size, unfortunately, with me, but there is one over there. If you come to the booth after, I do have one, a bigger one, so. All right, and yeah. That is a great, I've heard that so much. What happens is you go to a truck stop, you park your truck, and you come out and there's a truck blocking you. How many times does everybody else have that happen, right? I hear that all the time. So we came up with a solution to that is we have attendants in the truck parking 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making sure that that doesn't happen. That's number one. And number two is with renewable fuels or EV chargers. If you know, 30% of EV charging stations right now are broken in the United States. And the reason that they're broken is because if you don't know, if you have an electric cars, when you're connecting the EV charger to the car, there's a locking system that locks with the car. And the problem is when people go to take it off, they can't get the charger unlocked. So what they do is they break the connector, they break the connector off and it breaks the system and now it doesn't work. So what we have is in the fueling lanes and the fueling islands, another attendant 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to make sure that those kinds of things don't happen. Working with, hey, I've been driving a truck for 15 years, but now I'm driving an EV truck. How does, hey, if there's a problem, what do I go through and do? So we want to make sure that you have trained attendants that understand the fueling for EV, for hydrogen, and so forth. Does that make sense? So that's a very good question. Right now, the fastest you can charge an EV electric battery is approximately 350 kW. Even though there's 1 megawatt chargers, the batteries themselves cannot receive the power fast enough. So in our case, we have up to 5 megawatts of dedicated power. So we can charge up to, depending on whether on slow charge or fast charge, approximately 50 trucks in any one given time, right? So, and then the thing is that we want it so that at least you're getting to an 80% charge between a 30 minute and 1 hour time frame is the goal, right? Okay. But here's the thing is, I personally had an electric car and I moved down from Raleigh to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is about 158 miles. Well, the car would only go 150 miles by the time I turned the air conditioner on and so on and so forth. So I had to stop at Electrify America in the Walmart parking lot. Now, Walmart's a great company, obviously, but there wasn't any facilities and so forth. So I was working, eating in my car and so forth. And that's where we started to understand how to make this better. And then reality is the whole facility is driven off of renewable natural gas. Does anybody know where renewable natural gas comes from? Anybody got any idea? What? Manure, very good. So renewable natural gas comes from like dairy manure, swine manure, and so forth. So the gas that's running the truck stop actually comes from dairy manure, swine manure, food waste. So the truck stop itself is run off renewable natural gas. Now, if you went to the truck stop, you wouldn't know the difference. You couldn't tell. There's nothing different except for it's better, newer style, futuristic looking, clean bathrooms, clean showers, sleeping pods, better dining options, and overall better pricing, right? So reality is we're not only green, but providing everything else that you're looking for, either in a traditional diesel, facility. So we have traditional diesel, renewable diesel, and then all the renewable fuels. Great question. Are the parking spots going to be free? At this point, absolutely. Reason being is because we're using renewable natural gas, we're generating revenue in other areas. So we don't have to charge you for parking. Hey, how's that, right? You got all these parking services. Are you paying the parking services? Right? So the thought process is we want everything as economical as possible with the best amenities, right? So for example is that you can only eat so much fried chicken, you can only eat so many hamburgers, and you can only eat so much pizza. Does that make sense, right? And now, for example, is that if you go in and you want to be comfortable, right? Or, for example, is having sleeping pods. So yeah, if you're on the long haul, over the road trucking or OTR, right? You've got a bed in the back of the sleeper. But sometimes after a while, that just becomes wearisome. But if you could go into a place, they've got clean showers, they've got a place for me to sit down, they've got some actual space instead of a closet that doubles as a shower, right? And you've got a queen size bed and a comfortable place to go through and sit. These are all things that we're looking to provide, the truck stop drivers. So we have great programs for operators. So we already have 30 locations already committed, and we have the ability to build up to 400 locations nationwide over a 10-year period. So these are things that we want to do, and then at the same time too, cater to the fleets and cater to eventually, overall as the drivers. Any other thoughts on that? Yes. How are we going to, oh, you mean, for example, the truck is sitting there on the fuel island? Right? Mean it's taking the space of, right? Well, that's the whole point of the attendants. We need to monitor. We want to move. We don't want you to have any lines. We want to reduce down the wait time to as low as possible. So we want to work with the driver to make sure that that truck is moving through those fuel lines. Well, if we have monitors and attendants out there, we're going to keep track of the trucks, right? It's not a matter of you're pulling up to the truck stop and you don't see anybody on the grounds or anybody in the area. There will be attendants on the islands because we see this as a big problem, exactly what you're saying, right? So some of the problems with the fueling islands is the truck sits there and it's done fueling. Where's the driver, right? Another thing, we talked about the parking. Somebody parks behind your truck, you come back and you can't move the truck, right? And literally they're getting a tow truck to tow the vehicle. So we don't want to have that. So one of our, I won't say, but we work with some of the OEMs, right? Manufacturers that manufacture the trucks and the systems. And what they're looking for is we're looking for the best possible customer experience. Does that make sense? Right? So if you come to our truck stops and you're not waiting in line at the diesel islands, or you're comfortable or you have great food, then you're getting the best possible customer experience. That makes sense? Right? Any other thoughts? There's nowhere to stay? So again, we would have attendants 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So day, night, weekends, everything, right? Now, what happens if you have like, what was it, last year, there was a hurricane came through Florida. So there was over a dozen truck stops that were shut down from anywhere from 2 to 7 days. Because guess why? No power, right? So if we're generating power on site, there'll be power. It doesn't matter what's going on. So we could have snow, we can have rain, we can have a hurricane. You can go there, you're going to find power, you're going to find fuel pumps that are working. If it's, 3 o'clock in the morning, there's an attendant on site for you. Any other thoughts? Sure. So all up and down the 95 and the 75 is our first targeted goals. We're coming into eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, right? North Carolina, South Carolina. All in that area. All the way to Canada. It's our goal to go from Florida all the way to into Canada. Another great question. So what we want to do is we need to make sure that you have repair facilities, day and night, right? So you have you have your diesel trucks out there, but you have a lot of new trucks, right? You have diesel, now you have EV, you have hydrogen, you have CNG operating trucks. So we need to make sure you have facilities day and night. So talking about facilities, repair facilities. So myself, you saw the NASCAR truck. So last year I was going from a trade show in Dallas, Texas, and I was going to Talladega, Alabama for the NASCAR race. So as I was coming into a town in Louisiana, I got 2 flat tires, 2 front flats on my car, right? So bottom line is of course the pump system, do you think it worked or not worked? It didn't work, right? Because I had 2 flat tires. So I was literally 1 exit away or 2 exits away from 3 truck stops. Of the 3 truck stops, how long do you think it took me to get somebody on the phone? A while. So I called all 3 truck stops to get somebody to help me because AAA couldn't get out to me for like 4 hours to pick up the car and bring it into town. So I called all 3 truck stops willing to pay whatever it took to come get me out on the interstate. Luckily, I was at a rest stop. Anybody have those experiences where you try to get somebody on the phone and nobody answers the phone? So literally all three, it took me at least 1 hour to get connected to somebody, and reality is they can never help me because I was an LD vehicle, right? There's no service for LD vehicles. Anybody know that? I didn't know it at the time. So reality is we're going to provide LD service, light duty cars and trucks. If people are out on the interstate, we want to be able to bring them to the facility and get them off the interstate with calling in a reasonable amount of time. So we spent a lot of time with experiences to understand what people want and don't want, but really the feedback from you as the drivers is the ultimate thing, right? So bottom line is working through everything from clean services to fuel pricing to clean bathrooms to amenities and costing, access, lines, and so forth. These are all things that we want to go through and do. Anybody have any other questions? Right now, what we're doing is we're trying to hit the major corridors, or if there's areas that people alert us to, then we'll come in and we'll put in locations. It's our goal to put in truck stops nationwide. So if we drop one in place, sooner or later, it's not a big deal, right? So, and then one of the things that we also do is nobody's heard of Cyclone Renewables truck stops until today, right? Or have you? Right? That's correct, right? So one of the things that we have done is we have a large-scale marketing campaign over the next 3 to 5 years, right? You saw the NASCAR truck and a variety of other things. But what we're doing is we're working with experienced operators in the geographic areas that we're covering. So, for example, is we're not just sending some newbie into Minnesota or Central California. We're getting people from those areas and training them to operate the locations. So this, yes. What's that? Security, yeah. So I mentioned that just a minute ago. So we would have security, lot attendants and security at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, because we know that people, you don't want to park on the interstate just for those kinds of reasons or having the trucks broken into. So, does that make sense? Anybody have any other questions? And we'd be happy. We have we're in the West Wing, which is basically sort of towards your end of your day from here. But we've got videos on the locations. And then, for example, if we're happy to answer any of your questions, provide you information. And if you put your name down on the list, we're doing, like I said, marketing events around the country and bringing in drivers for either NASCAR races or IndyCar races. All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you for listening to me today. And if you have any questions, like I said, see us in the booth and we'll see you out on the road. Thank you.